Great performance by AJ Harris, JB. He, you know, in round 3, AJ Harris was well shut down and couldn't find a basket against Kilsyth. This time round, he has
game high 21 points.
And what do we make of AJ Harris's game there?
Oh, that was the game we needed to step up, or see AJ step up. I mean, we spoke about it during the year. You know, had a rough start against the Thunder, had a big game in round 2, hit a big game winner as well. AJ was a proven commodity, there's no doubt about it, but the tough part for AJ as well was the simple fact that it wasn't a daily or a weekly thing where AJ had to step up. You know, there are plenty of other pieces around you, Sam McDaniels, your Jared Bairstows, your Harry Frolings, Jamar Sandifer showed mentions of it. Jacob Richards had a really great 6 weeks of basketball. Unfortunately, you know, not feeling the best at the moment, but he'll be back into it as well. So that team ran so deep. To try and build consistency, Jacob, was always hard, but you always knew that if need be, he would be able to step up and step out, and that's exactly what he did tonight.
Yeah, and I think it really does tell a story of the season that he's the one who got them over the line in this prelim, you know. He's been there from the start. There's been players coming and going during the season, a lot of talent added. He's been there from the start, and you can tell that he really loves this team. You see him after the game there, running, doing the lap, high-fiving all the kids, all the fans. He really does enjoy playing for this team, and for him to have been here from day one and have some big games, have some games where he's taken a step back, but really come through in the biggest game of the season has been really good to see, I think.
And that aggressive, sorry to interrupt, Ronnie, but I mean, that aggressive play style too. I mean, he's a great facilitator, and he plays a lot freer in a second option. But today, for him to step up when, you know, the chips were down for some of his stars, to see him play in that aggressive manner is so positive for a guy who, you know, again, getting that consistent level of play is one thing, but to consistently still come out and still be aggressive no matter the situation, again, speaks to the heart and the character of the man, not just the athlete.
Absolutely, and I think he is also that type of player that you need in a finals game. You know, finals are going to be a hard slog at times. They say defense wins championships, and that means you're going to have to generate offense maybe from places where you wouldn't otherwise. And I think when things do dry up, having someone like AJ who can step up and make something happen out of nothing is really important.
And let's give credit to Kilsyth.
Oh,
Kilsyth were just unbelievable today, and you know, really dug deep there and got it back within, you know, a solitary point. And you know, to do the heroics that they've done over the last 48 hours, you got to give them credit. I'm sure when they look back on their season, give them a day or two, I'm sure they'll be very proud of how far they've just come.
Absolutely, and I think whoever came out of that final on Friday night and had to come to Hobart was always going to be a really big ask. You know, that's a tough road trip at the best of times, let alone when you've played 2 days before. So I think to come here, fall behind, and then still put forward an effort where they really could have snatched that game late, I think it really is a credit to them, as you said, and they put in a fantastic effort and a fantastic season as a whole. And
they obviously there's a level of fitness and ability amongst that team as well, because you don't go into what was an absolutely massive game there Friday night. You go from 19 down, you still have to go into OT, big shots to get over the line. Essentially, as I mentioned, probably a quick beach recovery the next day and then straight down on a plane to Hobart. I mean, to get within 1 point of Hobart on their home deck after Hobart have been pretty much top of the ladder for the best part of 2.5 months, you know, and nearly roll them. Really, it was only a couple of bounces of the ball here or there that really didn't go their way. They had some great looks. They had some great spark, well-rounded. And this core group, as we mentioned, Ronnie, outside of probably those 3 outliers, the average age is 25.
Yeah. This
group is not going anywhere fast, and they will rue just a couple of decisions probably in this game. 5 points, I can tell you now, they will be a very motivated team in season 2023.
Oh, absolutely. Now, full credit to Kilsyth. And nice to see some people from Kilsyth making a trip down there. I see a few people down there, and fantastic to see they quickly got some airline tickets and come down to the Apple Isle. They did. Now, final scores in Mount Gambier at the Ice House. It was the Pioneers getting the win 88-62. Michael Harris had 21 points, who's been a looming threat along with many other players in that Mount Gambier side, and now sets up a Hobart Mount Gambier Southern Conference final.
Yeah, and you look at the box score from that prelim, and it does tell a bit of a story about the threat that Mount Gambier have. Harris, obviously,
yes,
a really, really quality, talented scorer on his way to the NBL next season, but they also had 5 players in double figures, so there's a lot of options there. There's a lot for Hobart to try and manage, and I mean, Hobart are the same. They've got a lot of talent and depth on their roster, so it should be a really fun matchup.
And it will be a really fun coaching matchup too between Anthony Stewart and Richard Hill. Those two gentlemen have had quite a bit of a chess match battle over the years. And I know Stewie has said on record he enjoys coaching against Richard Hill. So we really look forward to seeing how that coaching battle pans out next week.
Absolutely. And just quickly as well, NBL 1 South women's competition going ahead. Two absolute nail-biters in the women's competition. Ringwood, 2-point winners over Launceston, who fall just short there, 77-75. And Bendigo getting a 3-point win over Waverley, 79-76. So some great action right across the league.
And just quickly, Launceston went down by double digits as well too. So they fought their way back into that game and just fell short. But so that sets up now a Ringwood Bendigo final. So Ringwood making it through for the first time in their competition format, and I think Bendigo made another trip to the Southern Conference final as well too.
Yeah, no surprise to see Bendigo there. No. We've talked all year about the talent that they've got, but Ringwood certainly have the capacity to push them in that grand final. So I think you look at the fixtures we've got in the men's and women's to close out the season, I think it's going to be a really exciting finish to a really good season. And
I think you're pretty close as well, in the men's. I think, obviously Sandringham going down. I mean, that's a big trip, to be fair, to Sandringham as well, to play Saturday and getting the car for 5 hours. I mean, we talk about the luxury, of being at home, but cramped up in a car for 5 hours is probably worse, I reckon, than being on a plane for at best an hour to come down to Tassie. So, I mean, commiserations to Sandringham. They obviously had a couple of players out. They were a really talented squad, but you would have to say that probably 4 of the top 6 teams across men's and women's total have made grand finals here. And I think that just goes to show, your cream does rise to the top, but just how competitive that competition is. Again, Launceston, for an example, they were a side that flirted with the top 4 for most of the season, barely made the 8, and they finish eventually, around that 4th position as well, Jacob. It just shows how deep the Southern Conference of the NBL 1 is.
It is, and I think, when the finals started, you looked at that ladder, and every team in the finals, you felt like had the potential to be a championship team, and even some teams that didn't make the finals had the talent to be a premiership team. So I think that says a lot about the league, and the fact that it has been so even all year, and we've had some of these really close, really good finals down the stretch. It means, the talent in the league's never been better, and the basketball's never been better.
Absolutely. So that sets up a really good grand final coming up next Saturday night at the State Basketball Centre in Knox. Ringwood taking on Bendigo, Hobart taking on Mount Gambier. The winners will go through to the national finals in a fortnight's time.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And I mean, Mount Gambier, of course, they've had their own struggles as a franchise and a club over the last few years. So this is great reward for them. For Hobart, again, coming back in, rode a wave of momentum in 2021. Now rode that wave of momentum with a completely different looking side and team, as we discussed here in 2022, and it's going to be an absolute belter. Either side is really going to deserve the premiership right there, and in the women, of course, good to see Ringwood there, but Bendigo would have to be red hot favourites across the country to take out a national title in the women's.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got some stacked talent, that is for sure. So for our men's side, of course, it will be a 7:30 tip-off from the State Basketball Centre at Knox. The women at 5:30. And we may be potentially hosting a watch party down here if we get that all organised, JB. And deja vu of 2018 again. No, JB's going to go.
I will be away. I've finally got an opportunity to duck away for a couple of days, so I will do that.
Jacob, you might have to co-host with me.
See how we go.
I'll run the ship. You come in with the special comments. That is for sure. So we'll have some details on the club's social media.
Yeah, there will be a way that a large group of people will be able to watch this final together. That's for sure.
Absolutely. But that will pretty much wrap us up for our coverage of the Coles Express NBL 1 South season. I must say it's been so enjoyable to finally get through a full season and have a couple of extra games in the process as well too, boys.
Absolutely. Can't complain when we get a full season in the books these days, can you? And it's been a really good season. So lots of good basketball in Hobart, and hopefully one more win to come for the Chargers.
I think we can upgrade Jacob's contract to third man in the booth next year too, Ronnie. It's been a good little dynamic we've presented over the last couple of games here, and look forward to bigger and better things, obviously, not only next week and the week after, but certainly in season 2023.
Absolutely. My thanks to Justin Bryan, Jacob Dool, Sam, who is not on camera today. He's actually doing another job for us and has done a terrific job, but he's come in throughout the year and done a really good job for us on the camera. And, of course, our hard-working crew behind the scenes as well, too, with our volunteer crew and whatnot. Even Rod, our photographer, who takes some really great photos as well.
Shout out to Louis for changing the dynamic of our club graphics as well. Been a real identifier in social media feeds as well. Both gents doing great work with camera and with Photoshop as well. Another productive season here at Chargers TV, Ronnie.
Absolutely. No, very, very happy. And we're going to sign off for the final time here and just repeat the final score lines. Hobart getting up by five in the end. We just they've
confirmed 74-69.
74-69. Hobart to play Mount Gambier in the men's Southern Conference final. And that will pretty much wrap up our coverage for season 2022 here. I wish we got the gig next week, but unfortunately we don't.
We've got other avenues.
We've got other avenues to fulfil, that is for sure. On behalf of Justin Bryan, Jacob Dool, I've been Ronald Riggs. You've been watching the Coles Express 2022 NBL 1 South Final Series. Hobart getting the win. We will see you next year.